In this section, we're going to be looking at using advanced element selection using jQuery. There's a selection overview, also selecting by order using pseudo selectors, and then more complex element selection, also traversing through the elements and how you can navigate through those elements to make your selection process, selecting elements and attributes, using the data that's contained within elements and web forms in order to update content within your form. And then we're going to also be updating our project and syncing it with select and buttons. All of this and a whole lot more is included in section 3, coming up next. In this lesson, we're going to do a quick overview of selection, because selection is so important. How to select with an ID, how to select with a class, how to select with a tag, and then how to select using attributes, and then a little bit more complex selection using CSS. First of all, let's do our document ready. And it's always a good idea to be comfortable to write the document ready method. And then now we're ready to go to make our selection. And we saw that there's a number of ways to make selections. So if, for instance, we want to make any of the H1s. And oftentimes when we are making these selections, very rarely are tags used, because tags are going to be used over and over again. So there's no way to really distinguish between them. So just add in click method. So we'll apply some type of styling, and we can use CSS color, and we'll turn the color red. So now whenever that gets clicked, we turn the color red. So we also saw how we can select with classes. And remember, with the classes, we use the same way that we use with CSS, where we have the class and we prefix it with a dot in order to indicate that this is a class that we're after, and we can apply styling to that if we wanted to as well. So we did see all of this earlier. And it's important to practice this to get really familiar and comfortable with making the selection process. We also saw how we can make our selection for different IDs as well. So the IDs were prefixed with the hash, and then we indicate the ID name. And we'll turn that one green. So we've got all 3 of the different types of common selectors, and now you can do a little bit more and combine them. And we saw a little bit of this earlier as well. So let's take a look at our HTML code, and we can see that we've got a list item, and maybe we want to access this hyperlink, but we don't want to access this hyperlink that's sitting out there. So we can't just simply use the A tag. We need to be a little bit more strategic, where we could dig down and we could say any list item with an anchor tag inside of it. This is the one that we want to access and make our selection. And in this case, we want to update the color as well. So now it's only going to be this particular element that got transformed purple. We see that this one is still blue. So we got to be a little bit more strategic. And as well, it's also important to making selection with those inputs. A lot of times the easiest way is obviously to put IDs, but in some cases, code looks a little bit neater. If you don't need an ID, why include an ID? So you can use the name, because any input is going to have a name in order to submit it to the server. And that's where we're making our selection. And commonly, the best way to do that is using input and then specifying the name, and then whatever the name is equal to. And then here we can update our background color. So that's uppercase. So in order to do background color, the syntax is slightly different. So when we refresh that, we see that that input now has a background color of yellow. And also with the CSS, we do have an option to use it within an object format as well. So we can keep one, or if we want, we can have multiple object values here. So in this case, we have background color yellow. And now because it's within an object format, we don't need the quotes around the name, but we do need the quotes around the value, and we separate it out with the semicolon. So let's say, for instance, we want to do the background color, and we want to do color, and add in a few other ones as well. So we've got font size. So that's another commonly used one. So this is in Pix. And now when I refresh it, you can see that all of that update within the styling has taken place. And you can see it's applied into the style attribute. So this was just a quick overview, and a lot of the stuff we have covered earlier. So it is important to practice and making those selections and really being able to select out the elements that you want to use